Ask you, Marco, please introduce yourself and your company, and we go from Marco to Jan.
Okay, good. My name is Marco Mirante. I work for Hughes Network Systems in the office that is based in Italy, and I'm the Director of Sales of Europe. Yep.
My name is Jose Torres. I'm the Global Sales Director with Integrasys, and well, you know me already.
I am Chris Boyd with iDirect. I'm Senior Director for Vertical Market Solutions and Strategic Initiatives in our Product Line Management team. And I'm based out of our Herndon headquarters, but located in Boston.
I'm Alexander Armonik. I represent Belarusian satellite operator Belintersat, and my role in the company is to be in charge of satellite ground applications.
My name is Jan Stoop. I'm with the UHP Networks, working as a sales director. That's it.
So, Marco, satellite industries is changing with new business models and new applications. Which applications do you serve today that you couldn't serve in the past, and how did you do that?
Okay, we have implemented different features into the latest technology that we have, that is Jupiter platform. So we have implemented in the platform initially the cellular backhauling equipment inside, so we can support fully 3G, 4G, and who knows about 5G in the near future, as well as we have implemented into the system the mobility, where we today already serving airplanes, and we are developing some new features that will be available between mid to the end of this year for some extra features that will be for mobility, like maritime, because iDirect was the one that was fully involved in the maritime, and we were a little behind on that. So we are implementing also this new feature into the system, as well as some enhancement of the system that is requested from the market, like layer 2, IPsec in a specific way for the customers. So this is what we look as an evolving of the existing system we have today.
Thank you. Jose.
Well, right now, as you mentioned, mobility is playing an important role in the industry. So one of the things that we're doing at Integrasys is we are adapting our systems to be able to work with mobile networks. So I'm talking about the aeronautical networks, maritime, comes on the move, comes on the pause. So our systems now, as you know, we presented it at this summit, we are getting to that level of support, and we're launching new applications like Submotion API that will be able to support multiple antennas, multiple devices, multiple modems. So that's what now we are evolving with new technologies.
Great.
So I think some of the discussions we've had, obviously multi-orbit strategy and multi-axis is really key for us. We've had a number of our customers approach us asking how can they run a global satellite network, but also take advantage of some of the next-gen orbits coming on, as well as integrating with the telco network. So we've not supported that in the past other than through ground system acquisition and integration. So we've spent the last bit of time actually moving forward to have our platform be a universal access technology where we can address both geo-based satellite access as well as terrestrial integration. So we're now starting to have applications that are hybrid in the sense that they provide service both from a VSAT perspective, geo to terrestrial, whether that be a disaster recovery application, something we have done for a long time, but now integrating those with more intelligence so that the platform can decide which route is more applicable. We're seeing that now extend into the wireless domain with LTE integration, both on the remote side and on the hub side. So we're seeing our MNO partners want to integrate not just backhaul, but integrate the platform into the system.
You know, it's quite difficult to compare on such short distance because we are only 3 years on the market. But if to look even 2 years back, we introduced technologies that allow to save the spectrum. I mean the options that provided by modem suppliers like carrier cancellation, etc. Nowadays, we and our customers who lease our capacity use these options very actively.
And you are now providing the service in Asia that you were not able before. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes, what we were not able to do before. In the end, it's an IP processing system, but we have a routing system basically, focusing on routing over the satellite. What has been added since say 2 years now, is the mobility aspect, the beam switching, interfacing with the open AMIP, implementation, that type of thing, and also talking then maritime mobility, but of course there's also the aero mobility. So we're able to provide connectivity speeds up to 1,300 kilometers an hour, sufficient sized buffer, adapter buffer. So that's probably the main thing that has been added over the past years successfully. Probably in mobility terms, operating the largest, not ourselves, but one of our customers operating the largest maritime network worldwide, with 5,000 vessels today, going to 19,000 vessels in 2 years from now. Give you an idea. Of course, also it's a continuous adaptation to market demands. And market demand is more throughput, more data. So it's a continuous evolution, adjusting the products to meet this demand, and the software systems that come with it.
Based on
Software-defined architecture. So the hardware may change because high demands, components change, but the software license, one purchase, it's a lifetime license. So we migrate that to the new hardware platform if that need is there, if you upgrade. So that is an important saving on the life cycle cost of your product, because traditionally you have to chuck it all out and buy a complete new hardware with associated software licenses. So that is an important thing. Then on hub installation work, it's a smart redundancy. It's another aspect that we introduced, the functionality we introduced to save on standby equipment and software licensing. Just by the software-defined architecture, again, we are able to do that. So these are, in my view, main strong points for our view, our vision, and our technology.
Firstly, I'd like to tell what our customers do. Our customers who use our capacity for their VSAT networks. Everybody wants to get our capacity almost for free. But
and how differentiate your capacity from everybody else? Not for free.
But if talk about our own satellite networks, there are nothing extraordinary. We are trying to use our transponder power as effective as possible, and also to save the spectrum. We use transponders in saturation, overbooking, and also using effective networks, etc.
So you do both. You sell capacity and provide your own service.
Yes,
is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Very good. Where do you provide those services?
Mostly in Africa.
In Africa. Is TV or data?
Data.
Chris?
So I think the OPEX question has a number of facets. Obviously, there's a capacity side of the OPEX. As we talked about a bit earlier, there's a OPEX of running a hub in terms of the air conditioning, power, keeping the system running. And I think there's an operational component to deploying the system out into the world. And so Obviously, we've done a number of things in our innovation. One is to take advantage of S2X to leverage more performance and efficiency within the S2X carrier, being able to drive higher mod cods to drive more bits per hertz, which drives that efficiency and OPEX number, so I can consume more and I can answer more demand with the same amount of OPEX there. On the hub side, obviously, our ability to leverage virtualization and orchestration to reduce the footprint within the teleport allows our customers to deploy more capacity in the same footprint that they've previously had. And as we continue to develop along that line, we'll start to leverage private cloud technology and cloud scale technology to allow them to deploy that in their existing compute infrastructures. And then finally, on the remote side, it's really about making the remotes easily deployable, working with our partners at Integrasys to make that as simple as possible to even get to a point of self-installation, self-commissioning, which helps our customers reduce their truck roll and field deployment technology. So I think there's savings across the entire spectrum, and it's a real total cost of ownership equation. So we're focused in all those areas.
Well, you just answered my question.
No problem.
You did already. Well, I mean, in adding to that, it's not only the commissioning, the installation, it's the operation of the network, which we have a system called VSAT, which allows you to save a lot of money on that as well, because every time you have a network up and running, you run into issues. And instead of sending, truck roll or a technician to the field, you can fix the problem remotely. That's a lot of savings right there.
Helicopter rolls are expensive.
I know. So, I mean, that's OPEX savings right there.
And how your customers provide and see how is the service level agreement? The SLA.
Well, I mean, basically, SLAs are very important. So one of the things that we do, if we have systems that can check the performance of the network, if everything is working as it's supposed to be working. In some cases, we know, the network, particularly in satellite, there's a lot of problems with interference, which networks go down. And that, customers suffer a lot. So our systems allow you to detect any problems in the network, and then get reporting, so you can present to, wherever is your provider, and show them, we have an SLA that has been, met. So, I mean, our tools allow you to get all that information. So.
Marco, and how are you saving OPEX? In the service side and in the equipment side. So
Yeah.
as you had played the two hats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thanks of our operation that is in US and with other customers, due to the large deployment we have on the remote stations, the policy of Hughes is a little different from others. We have the NOC that is the main part, and the remote that should be as cheap as possible. Due to the large installation we have worldwide, I believe our pricing of the remote station, especially in some cases like a consumer, enterprises, is already in a very low amount of cost of pricing for that. So we believe on the remote station is, I don't want to say, of course, can be always better than that, but of course we are already in that stage. On the hub station, we have developed, of course, the VBS2X since a while, so is going to save the space segment. As well as on the hub station, we are trying to reduce as much as possible the cost of the platform. Different from others, we have no licenses that applies to the growing of the system. So probably you buy at the beginning a little bit higher than others, but then for the rest of the life, you have to pay no license at all for what you're doing, growing with the hub. In terms of reducing again the cost of the hub, probably the satellite should be different, as already is in place today. There are some studies to change the satellite with the switching on the board, we're doing digitalization, change the antenna, and so on and so forth, that will allow to have the ground station that is much easier and to be reusable for multiple spot beams. So this is our vision at the moment. Then probably there are many others that will come in the near future.
So you agree with the WTA study that the hardware is getting cheaper and cheaper? So the operational expenses is getting more relevant because actually the capital expenses is decreasing.
Yes, I agree with you, yes. And then we as a company, just recently, last year was announced to be a partnership with VSAT. This is not saving the OPEX or the CAPEX, but we as a company, we are ready to discuss with customers to find a way to cooperate and supporting them in the field, because everybody want to have such a system, but of course OPEX and CAPEX are there. So we're ready to support as a company, okay, as Hughes.
Which is linking to my next question, which is high-throughput satellites and hub technologies are getting more and more popular. As you are mentioning, yes. Are you following the trend, selling these technologies as a platform and a service, or providing this service with this kind of satellites and equipments? So is Hughes, how much Hughes is investing in high-throughput satellite, and which platforms do you have?
I mean, we invested a lot on the HTS because we launched it in 2012. Spacewave, that was already an HTS satellite. We today have 3 different satellites, all of them KA, all of them HTS. So we invented the Jupiter platform, leaving HX and HN platform that was toward the HTS. So we were believing absolutely on the HTS as an asset, as a future for worldwide services. So yes, we invested a lot on that. And that's the reason why, if I can add more, has been changed as technology. Before there was this rack-mountable servers. Everything is now in a blade, very cheap, very cost-effective, very easy to install. So everything is changed thanks to the HTS, thanks to the multi-spot beaming KA.
Jose?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, HTS is a new technology. New satellites are now everybody's talking about HTS, and we support it. So basically, our systems can work in a multi-spot beam configuration, right, or a wide beam configuration. So definitely, that's we've been thinking and we've been working on HTS. So our systems fully support high-throughput satellites. Now, there's one of the things, important thing to mention is we support all different frequencies. So I'm not just talking about KA, KU, C, and other frequencies that are out there in the market, like XPAM, which is more for government. So we support all those different frequencies, which some of them apply for HTS.
Chris?
So obviously at iDirect, we've been long invested in HTS with all of the global players who have global constellations. We're proud to be partnered with them. I would add that we're not stopping with our investment in HTS. We continue to drive our features out in those HTS environments to allow our customers to continue taking advantage of some of the innovations we've talked about in terms of performance and efficiency. So we're continuing to invest in our platform to increase both the inbound capability for return channel, for increasing the performance on the remote and the aggregate basis, as well as investing in the next gen of satellites, which is the ultra high throughput. So we're already focused in not only ultra high throughput GEO, but also some of the applications for MEO and LEO as well. So we're continuing our investment in high throughput all across the board.
So we will come back to that in the next question.
Okay.
Alexander, is Belintersat looking at high-throughput satellite?
Yes, of course. One of our friendliest satellite operators suggested us to join in HTS satellite construction, and we agreed, and we booked oil payload on it, and we will definitely provide these services.
Very good.
Good.
And what time frame, and who, if you can disclose, is the partner?
I cannot share, unfortunately,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
but in near a couple years.
Okay, very good, very interesting. Jan?
Yes, UHP networks also support HTS network deployments. An interesting case at the moment going on an Intelsat epic satellite, and it's amazing to see what throughputs are possible with very small terminals. So it's definitely the way forward, and probably also the ultra HTS satellites that are coming up, because we need more and more data. We are unsatisfiable, all us together. So we need more data, so more power, and our products are being developed to support that trend.
Very good. So as we will coming back to your point, Chris, let's start with you. Where do you foresee to innovate in the next coming years, 5 years, in your business? Where do you see that the trend is going? Which kind of satellites and applications?
So we've been very involved for the last few years in the high-throughput satellites, the ultra-high-throughput designs, working with both our satellite operator partners as well as the satellite manufacturers. I think there's a number of things coming in terms of digital payload, channelizers, and other applications on the spacecraft themselves. But I think the other things we're very heavily focused on are the telco technologies, in terms of integrating our ground system along with some of the applications we've discussed around 5G integration. So we're putting a lot of effort into adopting our system to standards to adhere towards the 3GPP standards, which will allow us to integrate the telco. That foundation of standards, the entire industry is moving there. So if you look at some of the LEO constellations, they're also based on the same technology. The next generation 5G wireless networks are based on that technology. And so we see a point in the future where those come together and those really merge from a perspective of, as we were talking about in the fourth industrial revolution and the insatiable demand for capacity and connectivity, really allowing our customers to build services regardless of the particular orbit or connectivity mode. So I think it's we're executing on all fronts there across our innovation with our spacecraft partners, the ground system development, continuing to work on our data path and optimization and efficiency there. So all fronts open.
Marco?
I will be very quick on this, okay? No, what I can tell you is, yes, of course, we are going ahead, and what we see in the coming few years, consider we are going to launch a new satellite in 2 years from now. That will be UHTS, Ultra High Throughput Satellite. And of course, our engineering is already working on having the system ready for this new satellite. So this is telling you we are working, we are not stopping anything. Of course, the requirement of the market is bandwidth. So this is what we do. So yes, we're working on that.
And tell me, you are the only one here in this panel that has invested in LEO. Tell me a bit about the LEO.
But you know, the LEO, I have not too many details because, of course, it's directly from US. And but the LEO was something very well specific for a specific market. So we have developed, we have created a new system, new ground station, new everything, based on the market that was requested to be on the LEO. So, you know, this is something we went because of the demand, and this is what we have delivered already. So LEO is a big opportunity, in my opinion. Has been just launched yesterday, so we will see in the coming months what will happen. But I see that one as a positive trend if the phase array antenna will become so cheap that will allow them to have a cell of millions of terminals as they are planning to do.
Very good. Yeah?
Again, just IP processing. We are not involved in satellites as a company. We're not operating networks as a company. I can only tell you what we are talking about. That's more bandwidth, more processing capacity. And we are not so independent of the satellite frequency bands. We are agnostic, providing L-band interface. So yeah, more and more powerful systems. That's what we are working on.
Very good. Alexander?
Of course, we wish our small company to grow, and if jump into the future, all our dreams are connected to our new satellites, and I think they should be innovative. And we think the key is the throughput increasing. So maybe new orbits, maybe new bands, but definitely the speeds will grow.
More data.
Yes.
Okay. Jose?
Well, we talk about LEO satellites. I think that's what is coming, and we hope that everything goes well with all those LEO constellations. And we believe that that's the future. And so we are getting prepared to support all these new LEO satellites. So all the systems will be, we're working to get all the systems ready to support these new configurations, these new low orbit satellites. Well, we already support MEO and GEO, obviously, but LEO is coming and is the future.
I would like to ask one of a question to each panelist, more tailor-made to you. I saw, Marco, that you have very, very good expertise in helicopter connectivity. Can you tell me a bit more about the offering that you guys have in this SATCOM specific application?
Yes. The initial requirement was from defense, so it was a military application, and has been developed for some specific requirements. So has been done in a specific way to have under the noise level and a particular waveform. So all this to tell you that at the beginning, of course, the pricing of this equipment that is working in a different environment, so from UAV to helicopters, was not cheap at all because it's for a specific market. But this system is today ITAR free, and we can sell also for civil applications. So I don't want to say that it's cheap as it is for the VSAT. That's not true, because it's a specific particular requirements. But it's of course affordable for some specific application. And the helicopter, as you can imagine, is very complicated because it's transmitting through the blades. So the bandwidth is not the same, must be much larger than that one. But we can achieve a very good throughput through the blades. So you can transmit high digital video, high digital cameras that are transmitting with a very high quality. So this was the achievement at the beginning that we have got, and this is what we're doing. Now, it's a market that is not really open to the consumer market. That's not true. But it's open also some civil application like search and rescue or other application. Yes, it's affordable.
Jose, I hear that capacity every day is more expensive, more difficult to differentiate, and many users are different than satellite users, right? Are we doing anything for simplifying the sales of the satellite capacity?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that we are doing is creating the tools that, for example, the link budget tool, which allows you to pretty much find out the bandwidth requirements of the network. So pretty much you're making the users more intelligent, and meaning that they know how much bandwidth they really need, and not by those extra capacity that sometimes is sitting there without being used. So our tools allow you to be smart and get the results right there in front of you. So which sometimes for satellite operators, they help you with link budgets, but if you can get your own results, it's even better.
So Chris, I hear many requests from set motion velocity. Can we give us an idea of what is the work being done between the two companies and the target soon, but the idea of releasing a product in 2019?
Sure. So we've long used our Sat Motion Pocket in our Evolution platform in wide beam networks. And that's a pretty straightforward process because it's a very homogeneous network. The challenge that we've had to overcome with our Velocity platform in HTS is to utilize multicast to enable the terminal to essentially receive the signals it needs to get to the Sat Motion Pocket. So we've had to innovate some of the signaling aspects of that to, not necessarily from a technical perspective, but from a monetary perspective, to replicate what we've done in wide beam into HTS would require an extensive amount of capital for the operators. So we went back to the drawing board in partnership with Integrasys to figure out how can we put those signals, if you will, into our Velocity control channels. And so because you guys have a very good, very thin signaling protocol to your application, we were able to work through a couple of options, multicast, overlay, as well as within the beams. So we spent the last part of 2018 optimizing the system for that, and we're happy to announce we have some lab work going on right now to finalize the testing on that. And then we're working together to finalize the API integration. So I think we're looking to probably definitely a 2019 launch, and we're working with some key HTS customers to take that on just as soon as we can.
Alexander,
Very good news.
let me know about your success in the African beam.
A very good option that we have Asian spot of our African beam. So many our customers who deploy the VSAT networks or Africa put their hubs in Hong Kong beam. So there are many teleports. Hong Kong is a key point of world terrestrial network. So this feature allows us to sell this beam very effectively.
Jan, we saw that your modems have two L-band interface. Explain us a bit more about this capabilities that are enabled because that.
It's actually three L-band interface. It's an out, transmit, and to receive.
Right.
Well, the advantage of having two receivers, DVB receive ports, is that you can look to different satellites, different beams at the same time from the terminal and decide to switch in a maritime environment, for instance, decide to switch to a better signal, or if the operator decides, okay, no, that one we switch back because too much demand in that beam for the moment. So that is a very big advantage in maritime, and also I mentioned this morning in regional gateway type of hubs. So where you have a main hub, and then you have regional hubs in certain areas, in certain countries for specific regulations or requirements. And also the terminal will receive an outbound carrier from the main hub, which is in Hong Kong or in Europe or whatever, and from the regional hub that is in the region where the terminal is located. So that gives some distinct advantages in building or specific network requirements, specific network designs, hybrid networks. So we are able to build a lot of different type of network topologies in a single network because of that.
So thank you very much to all of you. Thanks for joining. And thank you for everybody else for listening. Now is the turn from Randall Barney.